I've already made a few videos where I discuss the problems I have with the Creation Club, but in this video I want to talk about some worries I have regarding the direction Bethesda Gaming Studios are taking their games. Now, this does come from a place of love. I know I have criticised Fallout 4 and I've criticised a few other things that Bethesda has done recently, but I still consider myself a big Bethesda fan, especially BGS, Bethesda Gaming Studios fan. I love the games you guys have been making. I've been playing your games since Daggerfall, and I've been a pretty huge fan, a constant fan, since Morrowind. I've even done a series of videos, a 10-part series of videos, as to why I love Bethesda Gaming Studios games. I covered each game since Morrowind and described the different things in those games that I absolutely loved. But of course I did this so that I could highlight the things about the games they make that I love, and the ways in which I felt Fallout 4 had deviated from that formula. So of course there was a sort of an agenda there where I was trying to say, look Bethesda, this is what you used to make and we loved it, and this is why. With Fallout 4 you missed the mark a little. I mean, again, Fallout 4 was a great game, I did enjoy it, I still do enjoy it, but it missed the mark as a BGS game. And the reason that is important and related to what I want to talk about here is one of the things that came up in each of the games I covered was modding. This was a major plus point, a major draw for me to play the Bethesda Gaming Studios games. And of course, they're messing with that aspect of the formula right now. Now, I know Bethesda has stated that the reason for the Creation Club's existence is to create better content for the fans, but I think most of us find that a little difficult to swallow. I think most of us are under the impression it's because they're trying to find a way to make money from modding. And a lot of the reasoning behind this seems to be, well, you know, they create the modding tools, they make their games moddable, they put that in for us. Of course, it's natural that they're going to want to find a way to benefit from modding themselves, because at the moment we get all the benefits, the mods, they're free, and they get nothing. But I actually think that is wrong. Bethesda don't need to find a way to benefit from modding. They don't need to find a way to pad the bottom line and earn money through modding, because they already are. Now, I think part of the problem is that modding to the level it occurs in Bethesda games is a little unusual, and it's seen as different. Indeed, that is one of the things that makes Bethesda Gaming Studios games stand out. It's one of the things that makes them who they are. It's one of the quirks. It's one of the things we love. It also is something that is easy to imagine as an extra, the way multiplayer in certain games would have been considered extra once upon a time, or perhaps the way controller support was considered extra in some PC games many years ago. But I don't feel like modding is extra. Modding is part of the experience for me as a PC gamer. Now, I do appreciate that is not true for console gamers. Well, it's becoming true for Xbox users, obviously, but generally modding has been a PC only thing. And even then, it is a subset of the PC gamer community that enjoy modding. But for those people, modding is a big part of the game, it's a big part of the attraction. And as I've said, you could point out the same thing with multiplayer in certain games. It only appeals to a certain subsection. And yet it's still listed as a feature, an extra, a reason to buy the game. And I can tell you for an absolute fact, there are people whose decision to buy Bethesda games are influenced by the fact that they can mod their games. For some people, it's pretty much the only reason. I know a lot of people who really were not interested in Fallout games, but they loved modding the Elder Scrolls games, and when Fallout 4 came, they bought Fallout 4 because they wanted to experience more mods. And the same is true with Skyrim. I know people who bought Skyrim even though they were more like Fallout fans, they preferred sci-fi stuff, but they got into modding in Fallout New Vegas and just wanted to do more in Skyrim. And then of course you've got the people who would have bought the games anyway, but are happier to have bought it because of this extra feature. It's a value added feature. And I use this word a lot, value, but it's important. Everything you add to a game that gives it value incentivizes people to buy the game. It incentivizes them to promote the game to their friends, to talk about the game, and indeed, with regards to modding, play the game for longer. And that last one is very important because modding, whilst it may appeal to a small subsection of the community, that section of the community keeps those games alive in everyone's thoughts for years after they would have otherwise disappeared. Look at Skyrim, look at Fallout New Vegas even. People are still talking about that game. It still appears on YouTube, it still appears all over the place. These games are still relevant, and a lot of that is down to the fact that the games are moddable. The fact that these games are able to improve over time, the fact that they get more content over time, keeps people playing them longer and longer. And when the next game rolls around, people are still there, still playing the last game or the game before that. And of course, this adds to the hype. This may be harder to measure than simple sales of microtransactions through the Creation Club, and let's face it, that's kind of what they are. It may be more difficult to evaluate the impact that free modding has had on their bottom line, but I would suggest it is actually fairly significant. Now, of course, it is possible that they understand all this, they realise they're getting some benefit from modding, but they want more, and that's why they have released the Creation Club and are trying to sell mods. They just want more money, in which case they are very foolish, because what they have done by releasing the Creation Club in the form it's in at the moment is turn modding into a negative. They have turned one of their great strengths, one of the golden features of their games, into a weapon to be used against them. People don't talk about modding now as a positive. When modding is mentioned on the internet with respect to Bethesda Gaming Studios games right now, it's not as a positive. Either way, it shows a chronic misunderstanding of what your fan base want and what they will tolerate, and it definitely suggests that you are not trying to find ways to make the games better and to add value to our experience, but are just trying to find ways to profit from us. And I'm going to tell you straight out, that is the wrong strategy through and through. You will just alienate people. The best way to generate revenue long term is to generate goodwill, to provide value to your customers and then let them throw money at you willingly. The best business model is a model that has people throwing money at you and thanking you for letting them throw money at you. That's what you should be trying to go for. Bethesda Gaming Studios has always made games that were unique for me. They allowed me to play my own story, to tailor it exactly the way I wanted, and to love it each and every time I played. Yes, the games had some strange glitches and bugs, and I didn't care. Yes, occasionally the AI was annoying and would repeat the same line at me over and over again, but it was endearing rather than enraging. That is the Bethesda Gaming Studios I loved. This earnest group of people who were trying to create this massive open world experience for me to just play around with for years and years. And I'm really, really worried that Bethesda Gaming Studios has disappeared. Now I'm hoping it's still there. And I do hear the odd comment from people like Todd Howard who say things like, well, you know, we went in a different direction with the dialogue in Fallout 4 and it didn't work out as well as we thought. This I like. This is something I like to hear. And if you come out and say, well, we tried something with the creation kit and boy were we daft, I think a lot of people will go, oh phew, they've realised. We want you to get back to creating the sort of games that you used to create and the way you used to create them. And honestly, I can't imagine that is not profitable. I cannot imagine you did not make oodles of cash on Skyrim and Fallout 4 without needing to sell mods. I just can't believe it. I really can't. And that's what I want to see. I want to see a return to form. Now, I'm not going to be totally negative in this video. I do want to be a little positive, and there are reasons to have some hope. You brought modding to consoles. That's a huge deal. And honestly, I applaud you for doing that. It's been very successful on the Xbox. You've brought one of your key strengths in the PC market and moved it over to one of the consoles, and that's great. That is obviously adding value to their experience, and it's growing our community. So I really do love that. Oh, and please ignore any of the PC Master Race people who try to claim that, you know, bringing mods to consoles is what's going to cause the end of the world. Nobody really pays any attention to them, okay? On the subject of PlayStation 4 mods, I applaud any effort to bring them modding as well. And, you know, if that's what the Creation Club was intended to do, if you had rolled it out in a different way and been completely transparent about it, maybe you could have sold us that idea. I am all for you trying to find ways to bring modding to more and more of your fan base. I think that's a great idea. It will benefit them, obviously. They will get value added, and of course, if their games are therefore more popular on those systems, you will generate more revenue and goodwill. It's a win-win. So if there was a too long didn't read version of this video, it would be, Dear Bethesda, please stop trying to find ways to make money from modding. You are already making money from modding. This is one of your great strengths. Please stop turning it into one of the biggest drama points in your company's history. Please focus on what it was that made your game so appealing and so popular. And they are popular now. Fallout 4 was a massive success, but that success was driven by your previous games. Those are the games that generated all that goodwill, all that hype that led up to the 2015 E3 extravaganza. That was what drove your success. Since then, you've had an awful lot of, well, I wouldn't say failure, but you've been having a bit of a stormy time of it. And that's because of your recent creations, your recent behavior. Take note of that. Take note of what it was that created your fan base, and take note of what it is that's turning them against you. And please make a course correction, because I do love the games you make. I love the Elder Scrolls games. I loved the Fallout games. I'm one of these people that was happy that you got Fallout, and I loved Fallout 3. For all its flaws, I loved Fallout 3. I even enjoyed Fallout 4, but I do want the next Fallout or the next Elder Scrolls to be more like your older games. And I want modding. I'm not saying I don't want modding to ever change, but if it could change as little as possible, I'd be very happy, and I'd continue to throw money at you.